into that drawing for that $50 gift certificate. Here we go. What is the second Sunday of Easter commonly called? Is it A, the Easter presentation, B, Divine Mercy Sunday, C, the commemoration of the resurrection, or D, the ascension? What is the second Sunday of Easter commonly called? A, the Easter presentation, B, Divine Mercy Sunday, C, the commemoration of the resurrection, or D, the ascension. If you think you know that, 785-621-4110 to give us your answer, to give us your pledge, or to do both. 785-621-4110. All right. We now get to break in with Representative Barb Wasinger. How are you doing today?
I am wonderful. How are you?
Absolutely wonderful. It's a blessing to be here.
It is.
So
for me as well.
Thank you so very much. I'm going to give a little bit of an introduction here for you.
Okay.
And then we're just going to really dive into things. That work?
Perfect.
Fantastic.
I can do that.
Representative Barb Wasinger is a business owner along with her husband, Tom. They have 4 children and 4 beautiful grandchildren. Oh, that's wonderful. Congratulations.
I know. I'd love more, but it's not my job to do that.
Before becoming a state representative, she served on the Hays City Commission, serving as mayor for 2 years. She also was the first woman elected to the Ellis County Commission. As state representative, Barb serves as chair of 2 committees: the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules and Regulations and Legislative Modernization. Holy cow, that's a mouthful.
It is. It is.
She serves on 4 other committees: the Joint Committee on Information Technology, Taxation, Higher Education Budget, and the Special Committee on Taxation. Woo!
It's a mouthful.
How do you, with that, but also, how do you have time to do anything? That's awesome.
Wow.
So thank you for your service. We really appreciate it.
You.
So let's dig into it here. How long is a typical legislative session and when does it run through?
Well, the legislature was set up as a citizen legislature, which means when they started it, people farmed and they had jobs, and so they come back and forth. So our session is 90 days long.
Okay.
And we just adjourned sine die. So the session was done.
Okay.
And we're going to have to go back for a special session if the governor once again vetoes the tax plan. But
Okay.
it's 90 days, and we can go past.
Okay.
But it's about $6,000 to $8,000 a day to have us in the legislature.
Okay.
With all the help.
What does it look like? And maybe people don't want to know, because sometimes they say something you never want to see made is legislation and sausage or
Yes.
like hot dogs or something like that.
I think it's sausage.
Whatever. But I am kind of curious to know, what is it that you guys go through on a daily basis?
Well, we go through different things as the session goes on. But when we get to session, we have a schedule. We are always on the floor at 11 o'clock. My legislative modernization is at 9:30, and I have it on Mondays and Wednesdays.
Okay.
And then higher ed budget, I think we met all 4 to 5 days. We usually, at the beginning of the session, we're done by Thursday afternoon. They want to give people a chance to get back to their district. And so many, my drive is 3 hours, but I have friends who drive over 5 hours one way.
Okay.
So it gives you a chance to get home to your family
Because that's
and
all
your
done
constituents.
in Topeka.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm in Topeka for
Okay.
those 90 days. I come home on weekends.
Okay.
Or I miss coming home on some weekends because I would have late meetings.
Okay.
And when it's so late, by the time I can leave on Saturday, then I turn around and come back, which I did for Ace Auction. I drove home on Saturday morning.
Gotcha.
Got home, went to the auction, went back.
That's a long weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. And these last days of the session so I have a committee in the morning before a session. We have session.
Okay.
And then I have 2 committees after. And then I have the other ones sprinkled in there.
Okay.
That I'm on. But those are the standard committees that I have. Modernization as well as joint rules and regs.
Okay, so a session then, and when you go into a session, what do you guys do in session?
Well, we have committee meetings. We hear bills.
Okay.
The way a bill gets even through, if
Yeah.
it starts in the House, it has to first be approved by leadership. Second, you've got to get a committee chair to hear it.
Uh-huh.
And then bring it to a vote. And once that's done, it goes on a list to go on the floor.
Okay.
But you have to make sure that you are working very hard to get leadership to have it on the floor for a vote.
Okay.
And so you have to work all around that. And then once, say, for example, I had a probate bill for a constituent.
Uh-huh.
It went through the House. Then you have to start all over again because you have to get a committee, the leadership to like it, get it to have a committee chair say they'll hear it.
Okay.
And then you have to get it run on the floor.
Okay.
So, and then when all that's done and it passes everything, it goes to the governor.
Holy cow. Yeah. So no wonder they say you don't want to see legislation made because it's obviously not an easy process. You don't just like sit down and write, I would like, here, let's vote on this.
Yes. No, you have to, well, here I have an idea for a bill. You have to talk to a revisor. A revisor the revisor's office is the attorney's office in the building. And they take all the ideas and put them into the bills that you want.
Okay. Which I mean is good because you don't want to have to just be sitting and voting on everybody's junk all the time. But still that shows us that this is a difficult process that takes a lot to get anything passed.
Mm-hmm.
So wow. Okay. You are listening to Divine Mercy Radio's Spring Care-a-thon. Come follow me. I want to congratulate Lynn Dowling. Good job, Lynn. That is wonderful. Thank you for listening and for winning the trivia question. And the correct answer for what is commonly called, what is the second Sunday of Easter commonly called? It is Divine Mercy Sunday. Very good. And as you're listening to Divine Mercy Radio, love that question. Way to go, Michael, for making that. So also, Lynn pledged $250. That is wonderful. Thank you, Lynn, because that just became $500 with those matching funds that we have. Let's get them used up, folks. Lynn Dowling started us off this hour with a $250 pledge. We want to get those matching funds used up before we break for lunch. So let's do that. 785-621-4110, 785-621-4110. All right, we're in talking with Representative Barb Wasinger on an update on Kansas legislative session. And so I see here that the governor recently vetoed several bills. Which not surprising to me. What can you tell us about these bills and their future in the legislative process? Because there's, although we just talked about how it is difficult to pass a bill, there are a lot of them out there.
Yes.
And a lot of us, I'm going to call us lay people. I don't even know about a lot of them. And so sometimes I hear and I'm like, oh, that was a great bill. Too bad it got shot down.
Yeah.
And so can you tell us about these bills then and what may happen in the future?
Well, what you sent me was House Bill 2465 would give a tax credit to contributions for pregnancy centers and also help people wanting to adopt and giving them some tax credits as well. Also,
that sounds like a fantastic
savings
thing.
Accounts. We're similar to a 529 that is for education in Kansas, where you or anyone else can put money in it and you can help someone adopt.
Okay.
The governor inexplicably vetoed that. So we came back to the House and Senate and we overrode her vetoes. So that is now law.
So it's going through.
It's done.
All right. Fantastic. Because that sounds like an awesome thing. I have family members who have adopted and
very expensive.
I'm amazed at if we truly want to be a pro-life generation and a pro-life people,
Mhm.
then yeah, we've got to do things. And thank you for that. I'm sure you had a hand in that.
Well,
Um,
what little I did, I
so,
heard it first in text, but
um,
yes.
but that is so important, is how can we make it an incentive to say, let us help mothers in trouble. Let us help people who want to adopt a child, rather than being like, oh, I'm sorry, this is going to cost you $30,000. Like,
Well, the most joyful part about this is that's exactly what we need to be doing. If we don't want people to continue killing babies,
yeah,
let's give them a way that they can support their babies
yeah,
and they can
absolutely.
have their children. And so
Wow.
we were really glad that we could do that. So,
Fantastic. As we're speaking about some good things that have happened recently, another good thing that just happened is Mary and Mel Waite donated $420 in addition to their monthly donation. Thank you, Mary and Mel. That is wonderful. That becomes $840. I love how they're making me do math here. $840 with those matching funds. I don't know where we're at on them, but let's get them used up. That is wonderful. We're well on the way to get those matching funds used up before the lunch break. 785-621-4110. Keep calling in. We are talking with Representative Barb Wasinger on updates on the recent Kansas legislative session. Just talked about the pregnancy center contribution tax that went through.
and adoption.
And adoptions, absolutely wonderful. Is there anything else that we need to know on that one, or do we jump to the next one?
Well, all we can say on that one is we beat the governor down. So that was a good thing.
It's a good thing
It
that
was a very good thing.
people came together and passed
Yes,
something good.
Yes.
All right.
The Senate Bill 233 we did not override her veto. We were short in the House by 2 votes. And I understand one legislator was contacted by Archbishop Naumann, so still didn't change their vote. It would prohibit healthcare providers from performing gender transitioning treatments for minor children, whether it's by surgery or whether it's by medicine. And
okay.
It's a sin that they're doing things like that to children. And this bill would have stopped at least to 18. You have to be 18 to decide that you want to have these things done. And the misinformation that was going around, it was heartbreaking that we couldn't get those last 2 votes. So we have 125 representatives. We need 84 to override a veto. And we were at 82.
Oh my.
Yeah. And work to try to get these people to flip their vote. And these are Republicans. And sadly, some of them will not be back.
So the sad thing about that is, if you look at European nations, they've actually largely shut down this process because they're about 10 years ahead of us when it comes to this whole issue, because they did what we're doing now. They went pedal to the metal. And now they're like, that was bad. We drove ourselves off of a cliff. This is really bad for children. We have got to stop. And so that's basically what they've done. They have made it ridiculously difficult for a minor to have these drugs or these surgeries, which is a fantastic thing. That's what we should do, because it's mutilating children. And whereas in the United States, we're not learning.
They don't learn anything. But the scariest part is that they're taking young children and they are taking away their fertility.
Yeah.
And those are days that you don't realize you want a bunch of kids. You don't realize what you want to do. So it's we are changing them and mutilating them.
Yeah.
And this won't end here. We will continue to fight. We believe there will be a really good change, and we'll get some more conservative legislators that want to protect children. And they said, well, then they can't even give them mental health treatment. And
that's got to not be true.
It's absolutely not true. They would follow what medical guidelines were. If they were on gender, they like to call it gender affirming.
Yeah, I know they do.
Therapy. So taking those drugs to keep them from being fertile.
Yeah.
Whether you're male, female, stopping everything.
Yep.
If in fact, we had legislators come up and say, what if you have this problem? And what if you have this problem? So they couldn't give you any kind of medication? No, as long as it wasn't to change a child's gender before 18.
Yeah. Yeah.
A doctor can prescribe anything they feel would help, like premature, I can't think of the word, but when kids become
pubescent early or something, maybe?
Yes,
or
premature
okay.
pubescence, they could still give them medicine for that. And that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to keep these kids in one piece. And if you ask me, it should be a higher number than 18. I think you should be at least 21. But we're sticking with 18 and trying to get that through so we can save the youngest kids. Yeah. So sadly that didn't get passed.
So hoping for, and hopefully all our listeners out there can pray for, I mean, number one, do pray for our governor and all of our leaders, because obviously there's a lot of things that they are completely ignorant on, unlearned, maybe unwilling to learn. And that's so unfortunate. So pray that they would see the truth. I mean, we all need to pray for that. Yeah. But obviously for our leaders, we've got people out here like Representative Wasinger trying to get these good bills passed. And when we can't pass legislation that should be helping the young generation instead of harming them, we've got to pray that their eyes would be open to the madness that they're creating, the dangers that they are putting out there. First and foremost, pray for them. And then, pray for the people we need in those places that would protect the youth among us.
Protect our children, for sure.
Absolutely. Okay. What would be the next one that we would want to go to?
You also listed House Bill 2749, and that's the one that requires medical facilities to report the reasons for each abortion performed.
Oh, okay.
Trying to see what's going on.
Uh-huh.
I did not realize this, and I'm willing to bet a lot of people didn't know.
Uh-huh.
Planned Parenthood, at the bottom of the form where you say, yes, I'm going to have the abortion, it says, Planned Parenthood will use your name and your information in order to raise funds.
Wow.
But they couldn't put a box on that form that said the reason for your abortion.
Yeah. And
it doesn't stop anyone. It's just asking questions.
And just so people know, I've done the research on a lot of this, and a high majority of abortions actually are done not because, people would make the argument for the life of the mother and stuff like that. And that's a different conversation we can have. However, most people don't understand that most abortions are done out of reasons for convenience. It's not actually because there's danger to the mom or anything like that. And even the people coming to get them admit this. That's the research that's out there. And this is independent research, independent away from Catholic sources or anything like that. This is just the information that is out there that they took, that most women that are coming there, it is, because of choices they made, and because they don't want to deal with the consequences of that. And so
consequences of their actions.
Yeah. And like it or not, that's what the numbers tell us. So this would be one that I would think would be like, that would be great to have that information. Okay. So what happened with that one?
We overrode that veto. So that will go on those forms.
Okay. Fantastic.
So that went really well. The next bill that's related to it, 2436, would create the crime of coercion to obtain an abortion.
Oh, good.
We have a very brave legislator. Her name is Rebecca Schmoy, and she's in the eastern part of Kansas. And she was in an abusive relationship.
Okay.
And her her partner was pushing for her to get an abortion. So I wish I'd brought the Kansas City Star. There's a whole article about it, and she's so compelling. She wants to protect these women. She was not protected when she was in that abusive relationship.
Okay.
And so she wanted this to happen, and we overrode the governor's veto on that.
Okay, good, because that seems pretty common sense.
It is, because there are a lot of pregnancies that are aborted through trafficking.
Yeah.
And when it's a trafficking person, this is crazy. I mean, most of this is common sense.
Yeah. Should be.
Yeah. One would think. One would think. So it's, that was really good. Okay. That was a really good thing to do. So while we made really big strides with pro-life legislation, we still have more to go. We still have to go back and redo some. Okay. So, excuse me, I am so glad that we were able to override the governor's veto on that.
Yeah, that is wonderful.
Yeah.
So, like we said, that should be pretty self-evident there.
Yes.
So thank you very much for that. You are listening to Divine Mercy Radio Spring Care-a-thon. Come follow me. We're talking with Representative Barb Wasinger, and this is one of those places where I think it could be difficult to come follow Jesus. There's, in these things that we even say, that should be very evident, that's just a no-brainer. There's a lot of people out there that are vehemently opposed to it. Mm-hmm. And so following Christ as a legislator, that can't always be easy.
Well, I think people would be glad to know that there are a lot of good Christians in the State House.
Oh, good.
And we pray together, and we make sure that, and my roommates in the place where I live during session, we often pray in the morning before we go. Hey, I've got a tough bill I'm working on. Yeah. And we will pray together.
That is so good to hear.
It is. And I don't think people realize that.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have, and that is really good to hear, because sometimes it seems like it's such an uphill battle, and I'm sure it is a lot.
Yep. And right across the street from the Capitol is Mater Dei Parish.
Oh.
And so they have rosary in the mornings.
Yeah.
And I think on Thursdays they have they expose the Eucharist for us.
Oh, you guys have adoration
Sacrament there?
Yep. Okay.
And then they have a mass at noontime. So there's plenty of chances. And when I've had communion in the State House. In the State House, the priest has come over
Fantastic.
to do that. Now, I wish it was everyone, but it's not everyone. But there is a great group of faithful Christians. Yeah.
Can we let a priest in there to bless the whole place? And I wonder if you could.
Yeah. Sure, I could.
Absolutely.
You have to do it when everyone's not there, so no one stops me. And then I also, through the years, I have had blessed medals, blessed by our parish, and then I go into different offices and I slide one behind their desk when I'm talking to them. So what is it?
I love it.
Yeah. This is
the miraculous medal.
Yes. The story of the abortion, the nurse that finally realized what she was doing.
Oh, Abby Johnson.
Yes. And she kept going out in the front yard lawn of Planned Parenthood.
Yep.
And kept finding medals.
Oh, yeah.
In the grass. And she kept putting them in a bowl. And I went, I can do that too. So I'm a little bit of a troublemaker on a very quiet way.
When we had that Planned Parenthood office here in Hayes, I used to go by with a bottle of holy water and sprinkle the front door. So absolutely. Thank you.
You're not doing any damage.
No,
it's okay.
Absolutely not.
And I have holy water in my office. I was having all these problems. And one of the IT people came up and he fixed my computer, and he got up and he said, I noticed that you have a cross and some holy water. May I assume you're Catholic?
Yeah, good assumption.
I said, yes, sir. And he's a deacon in his church.
Really?
And so John said, would you mind if we prayed together? And I said, no, I would absolutely love it.
That is so great.
So yeah.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah. So I find all of them.
That is so wonderful to hear. We are on talking with Representative Barb Wasinger on the on our Divine Mercy Radio Spring Care-a-thon. Come follow me. Number you call to donate is 785-621-4110. We do have that total goal of $125,000 we would like to reach, but right now we have some of those matching funds left. So matching funds work this way. We have donors who call in and say, I'm going to give you, and this morning they said $2,000. Those $2,000, what I want those to go to is when somebody calls in and gives you a donation, no matter if it's $5, $10, $100, $500, whatever it is, they say, I want our money to go to theirs, to match theirs exactly, so that their donation is automatically doubled. And that is awesome. I've said it often. Use other people's money for free. Use it to spread the word of God. That's what you get to do. Call 785-621-4110. We're going to get back to talking with Representative Barb Wasinger, and then I'll get to another trivia question, but hold on, because I'm not going to let you know when it's coming. We're just going to do it here in the next, who knows, 10 minutes or something like that. All right. So, Barb, what other bills are being worked on that are, well, they're obviously all important to Kansans, but what else are you guys working on that's really important? And are there any new resolutions in the works?
Well, right now we're out of session. We finished session.
Yeah.
So the bills, everything that was alive, we have to, everything that was alive that wasn't worked on dies, but nothing ever dies in the Capitol. So we can pull things back up in the next
session.
Biennium. So the two most important things that I was able to accomplish and work on was the REINS Act, REINS. And REINS, we are the second most highly regulated state in the nation. And I'm on joint rules and regs. We have absolutely no power to tell them they can't do that. And we've seen just with the Biden administration that is legislating by regulation when they said Title IX includes transgenders.
So
it's a little speechless.
Okay.
So
yeah. Parse that out for me so that I understand what I'm hearing. You said we're the second most
regulated state in the union.
So regulated in which way, so that everybody knows what you're saying?
Regulations for workman's comp, regulations for cosmetology, regulations for nurses.
So rather than kind of living freely instead of, unless something is impeding your freedom and we need help with it, basically we live in a nanny state. Okay. I got you. That's
and it costs Kansans so much money. And an example for this, and we did pass the REINS Act. Excuse me. Someone slipped into a bill about 6 years ago too, that the agencies that come in front of us don't have to do an economic impact statement on what their rules and regs will do. And in, I believe, 83 or 93, can't remember, there was a lawsuit that said the legislature can't tell the administrative branch what to do. And so now when people come and tell us what their new rules and regs are, we can say, we don't like that. And they just look at you like, so? And they just do what they want to.
So if I'm hearing this right, it's kind of like a rebellious teenager where you're the parent and you should have authority over your child, but now the child has been given the authority to just be like, yeah, well, go ahead and tell me your opinion, Mom. I don't care.
I don't care. A good example was the Department of Labor came in and we get all their rules and regs, and I'm going through them and reading them. And when they came to see us, I said, you are legislating by regulation. This should go through the Judicial Council. This needs to be in a bill. You're changing workman's comp law, and it's only in a regulation. So it's only on a book on someone's shelf, or you have to find that. I actually got 5 of the 8 taken back by the Attorney General because I called their office and I said, someone dropped the ball on this. They are legislating by regulation. This needs to be changed in the law. They took 5 of them, but the other 3 went ahead. Wow. And another good example is Wildlife and Parks came and said, with chronic wasting disease and all of this, we're going to cancel the fall deer season. And I went, and they were supposed to tell us if it costs anything over like $3 million. It says there's no impact on people, no economic impact. And I said, seriously, you really think I'm going to believe that? Okay. You don't get the deer license fees.
Yeah.
You don't get the hotel stays. You don't get the gasoline purchased. You don't get the restaurants that are feeding hunters. You know when it's hunting season.
Oh, yeah.
There are signs everywhere. Welcome hunters.
Yes.
There's been a big problem with Wildlife and Parks and their advisory council, but that's a whole nother story.
Okay. But basically,
they said there was no economic impact. Not applicable.
And there was nothing you could do about it.
Nothing. So the REINS Act now requires those economic impact statements.
Oh, good.
Anything within 3 years is going to cost $1 million. They have to do it.
Okay.
And I learned the hard way with the Board of Cosmetology. The first year I was there, they came up with a regulation that every salon has to have 2 sinks, a hair sink and a work sink. I guess they know what they're talking about. Mm-hmm. Didn't say anything. And then I'm driving home the next year and I notice all those home-based salons have closed.
Oh.
Because
they
didn't have 2 sinks.
Yeah.
And they weren't going to spend money to do that. Yeah. And I did, made me mad. Anyway, there are all sorts of things that we have to look at. And first, next year, we're going to try to do the constitutional amendment to allow us to not just say, no, you can't do any of these. We can say, we want you to change the exemptions and this credit, whatever this credit is, and then we'll put it in a bill and can go through both chambers.
So kind of like a line item so that
you have to be really specific.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I could, for cosmetology, because they also wanted to require every rest home and every hospital and retirement community to have a cosmetologist there if they had any kind of, if they were going to cut or hair or do anything there. But you've got to be kidding me.
Come on, folks.
Yeah. Now they ended up not doing it.
Okay.
I made such a fuss, as well as other people. I'm not alone in this.
Okay.
But okay, so the REINS Act is a start. And
Okay.
so now next year we have streamlined the constitutional amendment that people will understand it better. And we have some people that it's a lot of money to try to promote something when you're doing that. And the people
Okay.
that helped us before, it's an election year. Everyone in the House and Senate are up for re-election. So there's a lot of money going in other places.
Gotcha.
So next year we're going to wrangle those people back and do that.
Okay.
Because we think we can get that passed.
As you spoke about a lot of money going places, one place that would be good to send your money would be
Divine Mercy Radio.
There you go. Look at that plug. That worked in so nicely. Thank you, Holy Spirit. So you are listening to our spring Care-a-thon. Come follow me on Divine Mercy Radio. We're speaking with Representative Barb Wasinger on the update on the Kansas legislative session. And I'm going to get to that second question I promised you guys. All right. Call 785-621-4110 with your guess. or with your donation, or both. We still have some of those matching funds. Let's do it, folks. Let's get them used up. But here's your question. Which term is used to describe the changing of bread and wine into the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus? Is it A, consubstantiation, B, transubstantiation, C, divine transferal, or D, divine replacement? Which term is used to describe the changing of bread and wine into the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus? A, consubstantiation, B, transubstantiation, or C, divine transferal, or D, divine replacement. 785-621-4110. Let's get back to talking with Barb Wasinger, our representative on the Kansas legislative session. Bills that as you said, session is over. So bills that may be dead but can come back alive.
They can. You have to refile them.
There can be some resurrection.
That's right.
All right.
There's definitely resurrection.
So are there some other bills that you would like to talk about that are important that you're working with?
Well, my Legislative Modernization Committee is a brand new committee. And we did a few things last year, but this year we worked on a cybersecurity bill.
Okay.
And it's gone through. It's great. We know that the state of Kansas needs to get their act together, and they need to be dealing with their information technology so that we keep it protected. And right when we started talking about this, we thought we'd just do it for the legislature.
Uh-huh.
And then the judicial branch was hacked by ransomware.
Okay.
And a lot of information of Kansans was stolen. And I looked at my vice chair, who's the speaker pro tem, and I said, we can't just do this for the legislature. We have to do it for the state of Kansas.
Yeah.
So right now, what we are doing is this bill created an office of cyber, a CISO, so Chief Information Security Officer.
Okay.
And then every branch of government and every agency, they will answer to this gentleman and the CITO, the Chief Information Technology Officer. There's so many acronyms. It's very hard to keep track. But we have, what this bill did was allow for 18 months to prepare and know what you needed and the monies that you needed. Right away, we had to give judiciary some money because they have spent millions trying to fix the breach that they had. This was pretty incredible to get the executive branch, the judicial branch, and the legislative branch all on one page.
Wow.
Yeah. So we spent so many hours doing this and working on it and talking to people and making sure, and it was going to be blocked by the Senate. And I went into a meeting with the Senate president and the chair of Fed and State, because they don't have a light committee during conference committees. And
said we just got hacked.
No, judiciary did. But
when
I went in, they said, well, the judicial branch doesn't like this bill. And I looked at them and said, that is a lie. That's a lie.
Way to call it out.
I just spoke to the Chief Justice's top aide, and she wanted some things changed because we didn't use the right terms.
Okay.
And so every time she's brought anything, we've changed it and adjusted for them. So to tell me that they don't like it, then why is she coming and talking to me all the time? And, we don't know how much we're going to lose if we don't do this. And we have a good example with judiciary, not being able to, they've spent $4 million trying to fix what they did.
Oh, wow.
So
that's important.
Yes.
Wow.
So, spend half that now and fix kind of try to prepare people, or you can pay 3 times as much trying to fix the leaks and the damages. It's just like, why weatherproof your home? Oh, Well, we can do that later. And once the,
Why do I need a roof?
yeah. Why do I need to
Don't
fix the
worry.
roof? Why do I need to fix the sewer?
Gotcha.
So those are the
Okay.
things that we were trying to do. And when I went up to the body of the house, I said, colleagues, this is momentous. This. When have you seen every branch of the government
Work together.
like
Yeah.
that?
Wow. Yeah, that's almost unheard of.
And I said, this is not a matter of if we get hacked. This is a matter of when we get hacked. So
Yeah.
we need to be preparing and making sure that we have everyone safe.
Wow,
So,
fantastic.
That was really, I spent a lot of time and a lot of energy. And in my committee, there have been audits and of all the different agencies. And we had a closed executive session so that they could look at these audits, and then they had to give them back before we got out of executive session. And it worked perfectly because I gave them 4 different branches.
Yeah.
And so they were going through, and it's it's Democrats and Republicans, and the looks on their faces. I hated scaring them. But those are the things that they need to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that was a lot of time and energy, but it was all worth the time.
Fantastic. I want to break in really quickly to thank Don and Debbie Klaus, who pledged $250, and congratulate Cindy Lang, who is our trivia winner. The question was, which term is used to describe the changing of bread and wine into the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus our Lord? And it is transubstantiation, different from consubstantiation. That's a whole nother topic we could get into another time. But thank you, Don and Debbie Klaus, for that $250 pledge. That helps us to use up some of those matching funds. We've got to be getting really close. If let's see if they're listening out there. I am going to type in and how many matching funds, I'm talking while I'm typing, do we have left? Okay, I'm going to try and find out here, folks. In fact, before I get my question out, they might be sending me an answer. See what we got left. But thank you so very much, Don and Debbie. 785-621-4110 to send in your pledge. 785-621-4110. All right, Barb. You talked earlier about working with people. There's got to be some other good folks out there.
There are.
I know that you said that there were. Can we lump a couple things together? One, can we talk about some of those people, but then also talk about the opposition to the pro-life movement that we have, which seems so stupid to me. I'm not going to sugarcoat it at all. What our Kansas Supreme Court did in You can't even make that argument. It doesn't even make sense. Just look at what they did. It's not there. What they did was make our state one of the most abortion-free, or not, you know what I'm saying, most abortion-available states that are out there. And I don't think people know that. But it's very, very, very available in Kansas and for a long time within the baby's life. And so, can we kind of lump those together? What is the opposition that we have in the pro-life movement? And are there good people that are working with you to fight against it?
Huge numbers of people that are working and fighting against the woke.
Mm-hmm.
But our job is not done.
No.
There's no way. There's just no way we can ever stop.
Okay.
And what we do is we lift others when we become so defeated. It's very easy to say, this is never going to change. We're never going to get this done. But we do know that God does miracles.
Absolutely.
And when we are standing tall for the Lord, I believe all along it's going to be okay.
Okay.
It took me 3 years on my work for fairness in women's sports. 3 years to get that passed.
That's a long time.
I had a whole drawer full of information on that, and it took forever.
Wow. Another one of those no-brainers.
Please,
come on, folks.
I can hardly speak. But I remember there was a legislator on the 3rd year who who ran on wanting to pass that bill and then also value them both.
Uh-huh.
And when the Fairness in Women's Sports, I turned around and I said, "We did it." And she just looked distraught. And she said, "Well, that's why I came here. Then I guess I'm done." And I said,
No.
"Oh, no. God put you here for a reason, and you need to
Yeah.
stay here for a reason." And she's one of the people that also helps lead the rosary. So
Oh,
I gave her the
fantastic.
bad news. No, you can't go home.
No,
You can't go
we
home.
need some
You got to
fighters.
stay here. Yes. So, you know, and I'll be honest, there are Catholics in the legislature
Uh-huh.
who are voting against these things. And it's very hard for me
That's so frustrating to hear.
to see. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because, you know,
Either live out your faith or don't.
Well, and I have, you know, I have someone that said, "Do you have lots of people coming in and out of your office?" And I said, "No, not really. I mean, I see a lot of people in the halls. I have a lot of meetings there. I kind of like being on the 5th floor. People don't want to walk the stairs that far." But for me, I also realize that the people that talk to me, they're the free market people. They're the you know, we've got the less regulation people. They are the pro-life people. They are the Catholic Conference. Those are the people that I stand with, you know, and do that. So, I mean,
people know where you stand. You're not wishy-washy. And so that makes it like, well, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, you're not going to like this, but do you think you could? Nope. I can't back that.
I cannot.
I can't do that.
Fudge on my morals. Sorry.
That's right. Sorry. So that's what I do. And I pray for discernment. And I also always pray that I am listening.
Yeah.
Because God will tell you what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. Wow. That is awesome. So everybody out there listening, I mean, pray for our representatives, and especially pray for those ones that are fighting the good fight. Keep fighting the good fight. And for those who
are not fighting the good fight.
Those who know what they should be living out and aren't because of, you know, the fear of not getting reelected, the fear of being judged by their peers, you know, and that's a great call for all of us as we're on our Care-a-thon, Come Follow Me.
Mm-hmm.
Christ had no problem. I look at towards the Eucharist, you know, our question that we just had, he had no problem losing everybody for the truth. When he said, "This is my body, this is my blood," people walked away by the droves. And then he looks at his 12 closest and goes, "Hey, you want to go too? There's the door, but I can't change the truth." You know, and so what a great example for us. I know it's not always easy, and I'm on the radio, so sure, I can spout my mouth off and stuff like that. But you're out there doing it. And so I thank you because you're putting your money where your mouth is, and you're standing up for the truth. And so, yes, if you're listening, pray for our representatives and pray that people would want to know the truth and would stand for it. That's what we need.
So we have to have.
Absolutely. So how do we, because this is something that I get so frustrated with, you know, I was one of the people that tried to help devalue them both get passed, you know, another discussion.
Another long discussion for us to have.
But it's so frustrating sometimes because as a voter, sometimes I feel like my vote really doesn't count.
Oh my gosh.
You know,
goodness. Yes, it does.
You know, and that's one of those things is first, we don't want to get beat down and stop voting, obviously. But how can we, as the average people, help to really support the pro-life legislation that's being considered? Because there's so many lies being thrown around.
There are. You can email the people in the Capitol. You can call them. I always say, when I'm in my district, my most used contact with constituents is at the grocery store or at Walmart. Because people are so kind. "Oh, I hate to bother you." No, that's my job. That's what I need to do. But you know, support them, whether if you can, with some money, you have to talk to your friends. You have to talk to your neighbors. You have to convince those who don't really know what's going on. Help them understand. Help them know what's going on. Help them to get out and vote. Oh, good Lord, please get out and vote for the people that reflect your beliefs.
Absolutely.
So we have to do that. We all have to do that. And
Yeah.
I didn't. I said no when someone asked me to run for this job. And it was pretty clear that I was supposed to. And I'm grateful that God gave me this job. It's amazing. I'm always shocked that I have a key to the Capitol.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Who would just give that to me? I know. And seeing the building makes me realize I am not an important person, but I have an important job. And I have someone I answer to. And that's, in the end, I want Kansas to be a better place for my kids and grandkids.
Absolutely.
And I want them to understand that I tried to fight the good fight.
Yeah, that is wonderful. Really quickly, I want to take a break and let people know that we had an anonymous donor from Salina. So thank you so much. They pledged $100, and we have now whittled those matching funds down to $730. So that's what we have left on those matching funds. Let's see if we can get those used up, folks. 785-621-4110. We're on talking with Representative Barb Wasinger here. And Barb, I know we've had to talk about a lot of difficult things and stuff like that. And you've already mentioned, you have a key, which is really pretty cool. But there's got to be other rewarding things about being a representative. It can't all just be doom and gloom.
No, it's not at all.
And so can we maybe end on that? We've got about 5 minutes of some of the finer and better points about your role in being a representative.
Helping constituents. For example, I did the probate bill for someone very important in town. His mother was killed by his father with domestic abuse, Jeremiah Shoemaker. And that was probably the height of when I felt like I was doing a good job in Topeka, because I got the probate law changed so that if someone is believed to cause the death of another, the money goes in escrow. Jeremiah had to go to court to make sure his mom's money was not used for his father's defense.
Yeah.
So things like that, overriding vetoes. It is, and my youngest struggled with cancer for 2 years, and I cannot tell you the number of people who prayed for me and for him. It's very humbling when you realize that so many people care and will be praying. So I go in with a happy heart. I try to. Now there are bad days. Absolutely.
I bet.
But I believe that I'm supposed to be there, and I'm supposed to make sure that I do a good job and lift other people up. So it's not a doom and gloom place. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of sleepless nights. I didn't realize I would dream about such bad cyber attacks.
Wow.
And all the people that want to take all of our information and destroy our country. But I'm glad to be in a place where I can do that. But mostly being able to, at the beginning with COVID, I was able to get people their unemployment when all that horrible unemployment stuff was going on.
Yeah.
And I had one gentleman who had done my signs, and I called him he had called me and told me that he could not keep his business open. They weren't helping him. And I did my best to try to help him. I called him about the signs again. Can you tell me who I should go to? He said, well, me, of course. And I said, but you said you had to close your business. He said, nope. My representative got me the unemployment benefits that were due to me, and my business is still open. Now that That's not something I want to go around and say, look how good I did. No, that the calling someone with the name representative in front of mine, that moved mountains.
Wow.
Along,
And he was able to save his business. That's fantastic.
So there's the things
All
like
right.
that when you're helping
Yeah.
your constituents. I tried to help the young woman in Hayes to do sugaring, and boy, that got blown down. But we got the bill through the Senate and didn't pass the House, and it's not dead. But those are the things I want to do. Those are
Okay.
the things other than what I'm responsible for by the speaker, because he tells you know what you have to do. You get some marching orders.
Okay.
But I also want to help my constituents, and that's a blessing for me.
Fantastic. Well, Barb, unfortunately, we are out of town.
Okay.
Out of time. I'm
I'm not out of town. I'm right here.
Obviously, my mind is.
You're out of town.
I would love to sit here and talk with you for hours. So thank you so much for your
It's so
time.
good to be here.
Thank you for what you're doing. We'll be praying for you. I'll add you to my rosary tonight. I know that you're praying for us, and we really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Absolutely.
It's been wonderful. Thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
Hey, you too. God bless you.
Thank you.
All right.
You are listening to Divine Mercy Radio's Spring Care-a-thon. Come follow me. We just got done having a wonderful conversation with our representative, Barb Wasinger, on the update of legislative session and all kinds of other stuff. Want to thank her for her time. Want to thank you guys for your time, for continuing to listen. We still have those matching funds. Call into 785-621-4110. That's 785-621-4110. You are listening to Divine Mercy Radio, 101.7 KJDM, Lindsborg and Salina, 105.7 KMDG.